Cascade, and through the Cascade connection on the bay, I met some very influential yachties, Commodore Tompkins, Skip Allen, and Gary Mull. So in New Zealand, I designed a couple of little boats, 26 feet, 27 feet, but I was really a very amateur yacht designer. And I showed Gary Mull my drawings, and he gave me a job, but my job was making the tea and sweeping the floor. So I'm showing here a San Francisco yacht, Imp, that was probably the most famous race boat I ever did. If you want to be a successful yacht designer, you'd better have a bloody good crew and bloody good sails. And Imp had both. So she won all kinds of races and made me look like a hero. So I'm in San Francisco for about 3 years, doing racing with the top sailors in the area. And I ended up in Florida with an opportunity to work with Charlie Morgan. And that was a kind of a year-long effort. And there was a group of St. Petersburg Yacht Club guys that were keen to sponsor a quarter-ton cup regatta, the smallest kind of 24-foot, 25-foot boats. And I thought this was a great way to make my name as a yacht designer. Design and build a quarter tonner and race it on St. Petersburg, Tampa Bay. So this is 73. I put my total savings, which was $6,000, into building and designing this little boat. This is where I like to tell an Elon Musk story. It's about I never thought or worried about spending all my money on a boat that might be a disaster. It never occurred to me that it would be a disaster. And it's a bit like the Elon Musk story, which I don't know how accurate it is, but it doesn't matter because I'm trying to make a point. When he sold PayPal, he put the whole lot on Tesla and SpaceX. So his $6,000 was $200 million. But you get the point, the same idea. You want to do something so badly, you just do it. You don't think of any, there was no fear. So I did this quarter tonner without fear or worry, spent all my money, and we won the regatta. The prize was a free ship to England for the quarter ton cup, the world championship. So I went to Charlie Morgan. I've told Charlie this a couple of times in recent years, but I went to Charlie on the Monday morning, went back to work at Morgan Yacht Corporation. I said, I've just won the regatta. I'll get a free chance to go to England for the quarter ton cup. Can I take a week off? He went, no. So obviously I went. See you later, Charlie. So I'm in England with my quarter tonner and won the world championship. Hey, it just worked out the way I had hoped, and that's how it started. So the next important step in this way to become a yacht designer was saying yes to an invitation to go and live in Ireland, because there was a bunch of Irish guys keen to take racing boats to England. There was a very big Irish-English thing going on. You might remember there was a war between England and Ireland, kind of. So around this time. So I go on the invitation of the Irish guys to Ireland and talk about designing a boat. It turned out to be a one-tonner called Golden Apple. And it worked out great. It was beautifully built in wood by Killian Bush and his father, who became a pretty famous boat builder with around the world race type boats. And the Golden Apple didn't, I got to step back because there's another important yacht design connection in this story. So when I was in San Francisco working with Cascadon, my big job was getting Spirit ready for the Tahiti race. And fortunately, Cascadon had also invited Doug Peterson for the crew on Spirit.
All right, Ron's back. He's coming in. I'll edit that out of the one we put on Facebook.
Yeah, I probably should. Probably a good idea.
Ron should be on.
Yeah, you should be.
His mic is muted.
Mike.
There we go.
Hey, there you go. Welcome to the club, Ron. We have fun here.
But
All right, we'll try again.
Don't do that anymore, Ron.
Oh, my bloody drumsticks. So I'm in San Francisco getting Spirit ready to race from LA to Tahiti in 1971. I'm 21 years of age. Doug Peterson's on the crew. He's 23 or something, 22, I guess. We go to Tahiti in the Transpac Yacht Club race, 23 days. Now, Spirit, no headroom. No, I'm going to digress. Spirit was a Sparkman Stevens 33 footer that Cascadon tricked Olin Stevens into designing. Now, when I say tricked, it went like this. Cascadon went to S&S in New York and said, I'm going to do a one design class boat for the bay. And it's going to be very cheap to build, very simple boat, very narrow, no engine, no galley, no nothing, no toilet, no nothing. It's just a day boat. So, but then he forgot that he had told Olin a lie about what the boat was for. And he said to Olin, we were going to race to Honolulu and we want to do the fastest race, transatlantic. This is before I got on the picture with the Cascadon family. So Spirit, this 33-foot flush decker, had raced transatlantic fast at Honolulu. It's a very good, a real yacht, if you like. So I'm invited to come on with the Cascadons and get the boat ready for LA Tahiti. Bloody long. It was the longest race in the world at this time. Going to be before the Around the World race. And so Doug and I are on the crew of Spirit 23 days. you can talk a lot of yacht design in 23 days when you're not distracted by anything in real life. So we didn't do very well in the race. I don't know why. I can't imagine why. We were sold the hell out of the thing. I got it. You like this story. This is another digressing. So when we were in Tahiti, Doug heard that his grandma was going to sponsor a 1-ton boat for him. So Doug had in Tahiti's hearing, I got a chance. Two things. I go and work for Dick Carter, and grandma's going to buy a boat for me. And he did both. But picture this. I went to the airport from Spirit with Doug, and he walks. This is a Air New Zealand flight, parked on the tarmac. You got to walk out of the tarmac, up the stairs of the plane. And there's no bridge or anything like that. And picture Doug walking from the terminal to the aircraft, bare feet, pair of shorts, and a t-shirt and a brown paper bag, filled with his total possessions. Hey, this is guy. Imagine bare feet, shorts, and a t-shirt on his way back to fame and fortune as a yacht designer. I like that image. It was great imagery. I stayed with Spirit and sailed across the Pacific to Australia for the Hobart race. Now I go back to San Francisco and Imp, which was, can I get that image back, Holly?
Hang on, I gotta send it to them.
Anyway, so we had the Imp image, and so this, I had started my yacht design business in Ireland because an Irish guy invited me to do a boat, and it worked out good enough that I kept getting orders for boats. So I'm in Ireland designing Iowa race boats that went to England and beat the hell out of the English. That's how I established Holland Design. And that went on from 1973 to 1985 or something. Yeah, it seemed like a lifetime, but it's only, not many more than 10 years. Unbelievable how time flies when you're having fun. So this was a period when S&S dominated racing yacht design, ocean racing yacht design. But Doug and I, through our respective ways, Doug's grandma was one his way, and my $6,000 savings was my way. We both became yacht designers, in the kind of in the same year, and specializing in Iowa racing boats. Worked great. We had fun. Then what happened? The world got richer, and so the boats got bigger. Now the boats got bigger because our clients got richer, and actually they also got older. They got older and fatter, so they needed comfortable boats. So all of a sudden, the opportunity there to do bigger cruising boats. And after 10 or 15 years of designing racing boats, I was ready to have a change. So I had 3 commissions overlapping for 100-foot plus boats. My God, 100-foot boat. We had no idea what was going to happen. Not a bloody clue. But all the lesson for me was, as I explain in my book, the lesson was you say yes, then you figure out how to do it. So if someone invites you to do a 100-foot boat, you go, yeah, no problem. Then you go, oh my God, how do we do this? So that was a mid-80s, 1980s, very big stepping stone, big boats, big cruising boats coming. And the first boat I did was a really successful boat. So there were more people wanted the same sort of thing. Now, this is also a time when New Zealand had its first crack at the America's Cup in Perth. And I wasn't planning on talking about this, but it's a fun story if you're kind of a yachty type guy. So thank God for Alan Bond, John Bertrand, and Ben Lexton. Hey, they went to Newport, kicked the ass of the Yanks, brought the cup back to Australia. Now, that opened up a lot of possibilities, especially for the Kiwis, because the Kiwis would be like, hey, if the Aussies can do it, Jesus, we can do it. You know, we always beat the hell out of the Aussies in racing yachts. So it gave Michael Fay the confidence to have a challenge against Bondi in Perth for the America's Cup. So New Zealand created their first America's Cup challenge. And it was a Laurie Davidson that we saw in the introductory photo. Bruce Farr and me got together because Michael Fay said, I'm only going to do it if you three Kiwis get together on this. So the opportunity to go to Australia and challenge for the America's Cup and actually be so close to winning the thing. You know, if Dennis Collins had a windy week of racing for his windy-oriented big 12-meter, New Zealand would have been against the Aussies in the final. Wasn't to be. Dennis is too good for that. So Dennis beat the Kiwis to race the Aussies, and he took the cup back to the States. Good story. But I want to say that if in 1985, you'd have said to me, you know, you guys are going to win the cup eventually, I'd have gone, no bloody way. How the hell are we going to beat Newark Yacht Club? I just didn't see it was possible. Well, hey, look what happened. Right now, the cup's sitting in the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, and God knows what's going to happen next, because Dalton and the Kiwis can't make up their mind what the hell to do. But that was a fun project, you know, for Laurie, Bruce Farr, Russell Bowler, and me. But I was getting these 100-foot commissions, and I made a conscious decision to follow the money and not piss around with these racing yachts. So the America's Cup thing was kind of the end of my racing career. But what came along was a lot of yachts between 100 and 200 feet. Hey, you're going to be crazy. You have to say yes to that. Another fun thing on this subject was about 20 years later, one of my sailboat clients said, I'm going to do a powerboat. Do you want to design it? I went, yeah, of course I want to design it. And, step back. Sailboats is under 10% of the market. Hey, hang on a minute. What did I just say? So we were devoting our whole careers to pissing around through our sailboats it's only less than 10% of the yacht design market. Oh, hey, you better come on, Holland, get your shit together. Then a few years later, I can say that half our business was powerboats and half was sailboats. I mean, eventually you might be a slow learner, but I get it in the end. If you want a sustainable business, you can't piss around at 10% of the market. You might got to go to 90% of the market, powerboats. Anyway, so I did that for a few years. Now I'm doing my last boat. It's kind of the last boat. There's a few distractions that might mean it's not the last boat, but in principle, I'm doing a 140-foot schooner for one of my clients that had a smaller boat, a 90-footer. And I reckon, that's kind of not a bad way to end your career. Hey, a 140-foot schooner. My God, we're bloody lucky to get it. So that was just a quick romp through from the 1-tonners in 73, quarter-tonners in 72, to my last boat, which we'll start building next year. And so it'll take 3 years to build, 4 years. You just heard the whole Ron Holland story. Now, if you read the book, you'll get a few more stories. And I got to keep going because Bob went to the toilet with my drumsticks. Jeez, I got to get those drumsticks back. So what else can I tell you? Let's talk about America's Cup because it's pretty interesting. Now, hey, Bob, welcome back. You bring my drumsticks? He's not listening. Okay. America's Cup. I was one of the old farts that heard that when I heard they were going to do multi-hulls in the America's Cup, I was one of the guys that joined the old farts club, and I said, yeah, God, bloody multi-hulls in the America's Cup, ridiculous. It's never going to be as good as it was with the 12 meters in Perth or the J-class boat days, the real days of America's Cup. But I'm not so old that I'm not interested. So I go to San Francisco to watch the Kiwis get their ass kicked. But seeing the multi-hull boats lining up for the start with closing speeds of over 50 knots, it was fantastic. I just said, hang on a minute, I've got it all wrong. This multi-hull thing pushing the limits of under sail propulsion. Hey, it's America's Cup. You should do something different than a normal yacht. And then I went to Bermuda and fortunately saw the Kiwis kick ass and get the cup back again. But again, it was confirmation to me that the multi-hull thing is a legitimate America's Cup. Now, I was in Auckland for the last one too, and they had these foiling things. I could have been one of the guys that said, oh, ridiculous boats for the America's Cup. But I got to say, I was fascinated with seeing it. I'm glad I was there. This is a logical and legitimate way for the America's Cup to evolve. Now, you got to realize America's Cup is not a yacht race. It used to be a couple of rich guys fighting it out. It happened to be yachts. It's all changed a lot now because you got Russell and Larry Ellison trying to make it a Formula One thing. And it's never going to be a Formula One thing. It's just, even though we've got a more spectacle event with these foiling boats, it's never going to be like Formula One because it just isn't the audience. You're never going to get 80,000 people watching. But I admit I got it wrong. I like this technology race in the America's Cup, and I totally support. Let's try foiling. Hey, it's fascinating. Okay, that's all I'm going to say on America's Cup. So, Bob, you got any pointers or questions? Oh, he's not talking to me anymore.
I got a question.
Okay, yeah, give me a question. I was sick of
So Ron, I recently discovered the Freedom 39 cat catch. I know that you were part of the design on that. Can you tell me a little bit, like I was looking at some of the other Freedom boats and DL is kind of lower, but that one seems to have a DL of 277, which makes it a little bit heavier displacement. So I was just curious on your thoughts when you went into designing that boat.
Yeah, so that was a commission actually from J boats, or before, earlier than J boats. It was like Everett Pearson Yacht, and he said he would I be interested in doing a cat catch about 40 feet. Well, I was aware of the 2 or 3 cat catches in the Caribbean, Gary Hoyt, and I had seen them sailing, and I was fascinated to see how well they sailed. You know, they sailed just like a normal yacht. So I was interested. And the boat I designed for Everett Pearson was called Freedom 39. And it was a kind of a motor sail looking thing, but a decent lines under, decent keel and hull. So it could sail okay. With that catch schooner rig, it sailed beautifully. So that was a unconventional project for me that I'm glad I did because it worked out great. That was the background to the Freedom 39 schooner cat rig boat.
Yeah, it looks like it looks like it's, I've seen some videos of it sailing and it's a really an impressive design. Do you have any insight on how those carbon masts have been holding up over the years?
Now, this was an Everett Pearson thing. So I just trusted they were going to choose masts. And it was the Gary Hoyt, Everett Pearson combination that built these masts, early carbon masts, first carbon masts maybe. So I didn't get involved in the detail in that because those guys knew more about it than I did. But I was fascinated with the end result was very successful. The boat sailed beautifully. And the mast didn't fall over. Oh, that's pretty amazing. When you think about how many masts fell over in our racing careers, we'd lose mast every bloody regatta. No big deal. So I'm happy to say I don't believe any of these cat schooners that I designed for Everett Pearson, no mast fell over, and there was no wires holding them up, for God's sake.
Thank you very much. Hey guys, just unmute yourself and feel free to ask Ron some questions.
Sure, Joe. It's funny you asked my freedom question because I actually have a picture of the 39 Pilot House up on my screen right now, looking at it because I'm like, until we started talking last week to Eve Marie, the idea of the cat catch or the catch schooner really never entered my imagination. But since then, I've been sort of hot on looking them up. And then I saw the one that Mr. Holland had designed, and I'm like, that looks even better with the schooner rig. And it looks like it'd be a great boat to sort of, bop between Miami and the Bahamas. If it was, the draft is sort of right where it, needs to be. My question sort of revolves around, you answered how you pick up a Mirabella 5 commission and not worry about, other than I just have to build the boat now that I have the commission. do they call you and ask how to get it off the rocks? Where's the best place to attach a winch?
Oh, you gotta, this was a great thing for the designer because we tested the boat. So, now, for those of you that don't know this story, I'll do a little background before I answer. So, this is the biggest fiberglass yacht by far ever built. It's the tallest mast in the world, 295 feet. And it's a huge challenge. And yes, you're right. When Joe Vittoria commissioned Mirabella 5, he did say, am I asking for a ridiculous thing? I went, no problem. We'll design that easy. Oh, God. So, but the boat was built in England and sailed to the Mediterranean and dragged its anchor onto the rocks in front of Monaco. It was very embarrassing. But it was a hell of a test of the structural design because the boat, everyone else left the anchorage except Mirabella. And they were anchored pretty close into the shore. So they were even too afraid to let more chain out when the wind increased. Okay, this is a basic seamanship thing. If you're in trouble and more wind anchored, let more chain out. They couldn't do it. They had their stern on the rocks. And then the things all slid onto the rocks. Now, they had the keel up. She draws about 16 feet with the keel up and 32 with the keel down. So they dragged onto the rocks with the keel up. The shock loading on the keel burst the hydraulic control pipes. So the keel dropped. So the boat's anchored by the keel on the rocks. This is a hell of a test of structure. But fortunately, it was a short, sharp squall. And a few hours later, the wind died. And they reinstated the hydraulics, lifted the keel, and pulled her off the beach. So, what looked like a disaster, actually, from my point of view, from a designer point of view, it was a amazingly successful test, real-time, real-life test. How good did you design that boat, Holland? Pretty bloody good, because it didn't leak at all on this grounding.
Well, they were worried the stick was going to come down when that was going on live, real time, because of just the motion.
Oh, so say again?
I'm saying that when that was going on real time, one of the concerns was that the mast was going to come down just because of the motion of the boat, and that stayed up.
Yeah, there was some shock loading going on. I didn't hear anyone raising that subject. And the mast has proven also to be fine. It's the same. It's not the same rigging. Now it's got carbon fiber rigging. Oh, let me tell you, this is a good story. So the boat was sold to a Texas wealthy guy.
Oil guy, yeah.
And he said to me, look, do you think it'd be worthwhile putting carbon rigging on this? I went, well, you save 16 tons. Yeah, it's better. It'll be better for it. So he did that. He put carbon rigging on. Now, why? Oh, this came from me saying the shock loading that the boat experienced on the rocks in the south of France would have put a question on the steel rigging. And because the mast was so ridiculously big, the classification society stipulated they would only sign off on the boat if we agreed to take the rigging off the boat every couple of years. It's a huge job. And they said the only way we could stand behind as a classification society if you tested the rod rigging every 2 or 3 years. Oh, God, that's a big job. Now, the carbon, when people were considering carbon for standing rigging, all the authorities by now were going, we're going to have to really control this. So if you are supplying carbon rigging to the boats, you've got to go through a rigorous checking system. So I would say the carbon rig is less likely to fail than the, oh, well, hang on, hang on.
Both ends. Get the crane.
I'm going to show you this, guys. This is the end of
Wow.
Mirabella's V1. I
Wow.
can hardly lift it. So that's what it looks like. It goes into the terminal. Jesus, it's heavy. So we saved 15 or 16 tons. Now, the authorities, God, we didn't used to have authorities breathing down our neck designing boats, but we do now. The authorities said that we want you to not increase the stability of the boat because the whole design, the shell laminate, the keel design, it's all designed around a maximum predicted riding moment. So if you take 15 tons off the rigging, you're going to be way more stable. So we had to cut 50 tons off the keel to keep the same original steel rigging stability. And the numbers are outrageous. So we took the bulb off the keel and put a normal tip on and took 50 tons off. So Mirabella is at her original riding moment with a less draggy keel and 50 tons lighter. Just the numbers. Now, when I said, yeah, I can design this, I had no idea the 4-year lesson we had to go through in engineering. I'll tell you another fun story. I got to tell these stories, Bob. I don't want to keep you from your lunch.
Yes, please.
When so the Joe Vittoria, the guy that commissioned Mirabella 5, one of his stipulations for this giant boat was he wanted to park it outside his house in Palm Beach. Oh no, you got to have a lifting keel. My God, the keel is 150 tons. We're going to lift it. So that was the idea of this hydraulic system that we came up with that I mentioned in the accident. But when I was designing it, this was one of the first things that we looked at. We thought, how the hell are we going to do this? He wants to park it in Palm Beach. So we're going to have to lift. I wanted the keel to be over 30 feet deep. So we're going to lift a 30-foot deep, 150-ton keel. And I want to do it with one hydraulic ram. Because the neatest way I could see doing it was the keel the ram pulls the keel up and it's sort of like this. It's like this. It sort of overlaps and sticks out the roof of the boat. So my idea was to have one hydraulic ram lifting the keel. And I posed this question to an engineering friend of mine who said, you got to talk to Aberdeen. the North Sea oil guys. So he gave me the number of a guy who's a specialist in hydraulics for the North Sea oil industry. And I ring the number, and a very broad Scottish accent guy's on the phone. You know, it's hard to understand him. But I was so keen to hear what he said, I had to be patient and listen. So I said, I've got a sailboat project. I want one ram to lift a 30-foot deep keel, 150 tons in weight. And this Scottish guy just goes silent. I go, oh God, you know, he's going to tell me I've bitten off more than I can chew here. And there's about 20 seconds silence, and he goes, how heavy is this keel? He said, 150 tons. He said, God, I thought you said 1,500. I was really panicking. But he said, 150 tons? We got hydraulic rams lying all around the yard here. Come and pick one up. So my kind of impossible quest was his like, hey, we got these things lying around here like confetti. He said, if you'd said 1,500, that would have been a problem. But 150, peanuts. So great lesson. Don't hesitate to ask for help. And I would say that's been an important part of the success of Rohr and Holland Design. I was always totally okay for asking for help. What I noticed was really academically bright people don't want to ask for help. It's like they should be able to figure it out themselves. Well, I was really hopeless at school, so I was always asking for help. To me, it's second nature, ask for help. In that way, Mirabella happened successfully because we just kept asking for help. Yeah, it was just a little life lesson. That's the story. These are in my book. I kind of turn the challenges into opportunities by showing if you ask for help, you're going to figure it out okay. Okay, I'm afraid I'm getting you're getting bored.
No, we love this. This is what we're here for. No,
This is awesome.
yeah, you.
Not bored at all.
Okay, I forgot what I'm going to say next, so ask me another question.
Tell us about Condor and Kiloa. Kiloa, you designed the classic maxi boat of all time.
Lucky to get the opportunity. It happened because I signed aboard Kilo 3 for the transatlantic race, Marblehead, Cork, where I live. So I did the transatlantic race because Kilra was always thinking about it. The owner is always thinking about a new boat. So it's a bit like Spirit to Tahiti. You spend this isolated, concentrated time talking about what are you going to do next. So Kilroy is impressed enough that he gives me the commission. Now, this is also a challenge because it's a fiberglass. It's the biggest fiberglass race boat ever done at Kiwi Boats in Florida, who had been doing successfully 40-foot race boats for us, lots of different 40-footers. But the Kiloa project was a bit like Mirabella, pushing the limits of size and structure. And the way we did, actually, it was the first boat of this philosophy. So you build a lightweight hull, which is inherently flexible. and we know that if you want to go fast under sail, you don't want flexibility, you want rigidity. So we proposed to Jim Kilroy for his new keel a lightweight fiberglass hull. Hey, this is before carbon. This is basic stuff. Yeah, we're going to make a lightweight fiberglass hull, and we're going to put, like we did with him, a structural frame inside that is calculable. You can calculate what material you need to resist the bending moments that are going to be created by this 100-foot rig. So, you know, I would say without the Kilo project, the Mirabella project would have been way more problematic. So each thing was a kind of evolution. And we evolved from quarter tonners to one tonners to maxi boats to 250-foot sailboats. This gave us learning space. Each one was helped the next reiteration of the engineering problem. Anything? Okay, ask another question, please.
I've got one for you. I grew up racing West Coast sleds. You know, before the Santa Cruz 70s came out, there were a lot of other ultralights around. Mull had a few. And in that era, you had one as well. You had Charlie that did very well in the 80 through Transpac. And we all thought this is going to be really exciting to watch. But as far as I know, that's the only real West Coast sled you did. Was that just not a corner of the design universe that was interesting to you?
Well, it was interesting. It was also because Nolan Bushnell was the owner, who was a really interesting guy. So we've had some really interesting clients. And Nolan Bushnell, who created Atari, was one of the most interesting. Now, about the design, I was at the end of my Iowa race career, and these big 100-foot projects are coming at us. And I just decided, hey, I'm going to take the money and do these big boats and not piss around with these race boats. Kind of, it's a bit, you know, it's a bit simplistic and a bit cheeky of me to say it like that. But that was really true, I think. I just consciously saw that in the 80s and 90s, there was so much money available for my clients to do whatever yacht they wanted. And I wanted to do these 100, 200-foot yachts. So I just didn't aggressively pursue the race boat market after Charlie. Well, I can't talk about Charlie without telling you my story about how I had 2 or 3 keels fall off. Ha! You might wonder, why would you want to talk about this? Well, when you get to over 70, you don't give a shit anymore. You just kind of tell it the way it is. So, but get this. We designed the fin keel for Charlie, like we designed for Kilo, Condor, all the big maxi boats, where the keel bolts are in a matrix, a welded matrix cage in the lead. So there's a lot of connection between the lead and the steel keel bolts. It's like a framework. So you put in the lead, pour the lead around it, and you're never going to pull that out of the keel. The builder of Charlie's keel put Rohr smooth bar for the keel bolts. No nuts on the bottom, just put in the hot lead shiny, vertical, smooth bolts. Are you crazy? What about our drawing with complex horizontal structures? No, just the bloody, like kill bolt like that, smooth and nothing to prevent it pulling out. Now, how that boat got to Honolulu with that keel arrangement, I have no idea. But they got there first. Then they sailed home. God, the guys on the boat. So they were a couple of 2 or 3 days. I don't know the story very accurately, but the keel bolts pulled out absolutely predictably, and the Charlie is a narrow, transpac, light, narrow boat. You can't say there's much form stability, but those guys kept the thing upright and got back to Honolulu. That's one of the most impressive Ron Holland design stories. How they sailed the bloody thing back with no keel and at such a narrow beam waterline. Those guys deserve a medal.
Chuck Hawley,
Now-
if you remember, was the hero of that one.
I did.
Remember Chuck Hawley?
Uh,
He was the delivery skipper who managed to keep her on her feet and sail her back to Honolulu with no keel.
the sound is, I mean, north of San Francisco is too far away. I can't hear you. Sorry. Can someone interpret what Dick's saying?
He was saying it was Chuck Hawley that was the master of the boat that managed to get it home.
Exactly. That's the guy I said deserves a medal. And I had a fun experience that actually Dick was present. I'm giving a book presentation in Sausalito, and Chuck is in the audience. And I couldn't resist saying, Chuck, tell us about getting the boat back to Honolulu. Imagine, like, God, you'd take a keel off a boat like this, and why it didn't just fall over, I have no idea. But
Check one,
that was,
check one. Is this any better?
yes, better.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So anyway, what was fun, and Dick was there too, so he could say this is Holland not telling lies as usual.
Just this once.
I didn't realize that Bill Lee was also there in that audience. So we had a very huge discussion about transpac, narrow, light displacement, California downwind flyers with and without keels. So that was a fun event for me. So thank you for asking about Charlie, because it's a hell of a story.
So,
I'm-
Ron, I was just going to ask you a story about a design disaster and something that was funny. I think you checked both those boxes with one question. So, can you tell us one of your more favorite sailing stories, or is that the one?
This is you want an engineering boat building mistake story, or you want a bad weather story?
Let's start with the bad weather story. We haven't hit that yet.
Well, I've been in a couple of good bad weather stories. Actually, the most famous one, of course, is the 79 fast tent race, where I took a helicopter home. So, but I think in my memory, an equally bad one was the 71 Bermuda Race or 72 Bermuda Race.
71.
71.
71. Nepenthe lost their rig. Won by Norima, something or other. English Swan won it. So that was a hell of a rough race. And approaching Bermuda was very hit and miss, to be honest. I was navigating on Cascade the schooner. And we had no idea where we were really. It was just bloody luck that we were anywhere near the right place and not on the, what do they call it, cabbage patch shoal area. So I could tell more about the Fastnet race because I was older and more conscious. But what was amazing about that Fastnet race in '79 was that over 100 boats started the race, and there was a very bad depression on the east coast of the States. But the weather forecasting was so crappy in those days that you got these 100 boats starting down the English Channel, and here's coming a depression that's definitely going to get us. No one said a word. No weather forecast predicted it. So we race around Land's End across the Irish Sea, and as we get to Fastnet Rock, the rounding mark, it's rough. It's blowing 50. But the seas hadn't got very big then because it was partly protected by the southern Irish coast. We round the rock and we're hard on the wind, or just ease sheets back towards the Scilly Islands, and it got rough, really rough, like breaking white water rough, the whole Irish Sea. And I can bring in the engineering story here because we had a carbon fiber rudder that broke on our boat, Golden Apple of the Sun. And I'm driving when the rudder broke. And the way to get safely through these breaking seas was they're coming on our beam. Yep. I think the breaking water was sort of just after the beam, but we're close reaching. And with, storm jib, that's it. It's blowing 60. The way to get through these waves without breaking the boat was you climbing up the face of the wave, white water falling over totally submerging the yacht. We were 43-footer. And you got to bear away like a surfboard, and you go down. If you go too far up the wave, you'll fall out of the water and crash on the windward face of the wave. You break something. You've got to just steer the boat so it stays in contact with the water like a surfboard. And if you go too far away, you could pitch pole. So it's quite tricky keeping the right angle. And of course, the right angle is changing all the time. So we're in this situation where the rudder breaks. And what surprised me, we only had a storm jib on, so this shouldn't have surprised me. I felt the rudder go bang, and we sent Killian Bush, our boat builder, down below and said, go and have a look, Killian, but it doesn't feel like there's any rudder there anymore. The storm jib blew the bow off, so now we're going 90 degrees down the face of the wave. And it felt like we were kind of like going down like vertically. And I remember realizing the wheel's not connected to the rudder. I let go of the wheel and put my arms around the binnacle, put my head down and just hung on. And we're going down like this. And we get to the bottom and there's no wind in the bottom of the wave. It's pretty, you kind of get becalmed. The waves are so big. Anyway, we're going, well, that's the end of our race. Shall I keep telling the story? I'm getting a bit bored with telling it. But so we have a cargo ship, a Royal Naval ship, a Royal Naval helicopter, all around us. and it's actually moderated to probably 30 knots. So it's, it's still below normally gale, but 30 after 60, peanuts, nothing. So we're going, oh God, we're doing so well in the race, and what are we going to do? Then we realized, hang on, we are drifting down on the Scilly Islands. And we're like 20 miles upwind of them. And the helicopter guy says, we want you to make a decision about whether you're going to come with us now, because we're probably not coming back. And there was a big discussion on the deck of Golden Apple. It's blowing 30. Feels like it's come to us, but it's still serious weather.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's about, do you leave your boat? Well, in the end, our owner, Hugh Coveney, made the decision and decided to get a ride with the helicopter guys, leave the boat. I'm hesitating because there's a story I'm going to tell you I've never told before. It's not in my book. I don't know why I'm even in the mood to tell it, because I want to liven the conversation up or something. I don't know. Anyway, we left the boat. Went back a day or two later and got it, no problem. But at this time period, a friend of mine had nominated me for the Yacht Club. And I was blackballed. This is, should I be telling that, Dick? I mean, I would need your counsel. Shall I go on with the story? I'm not going to name names.
Definitely,
Well,
yes.
I will name names. So my nomination and second group of people, and you write letters, you have people write your letters. I mean, I'm telling you who nominated me and seconded me. Dennis Conner, Ted Turner, Jim Kilroy. Hey, I got the royalty of world American Ocean Racing supporting me. But there was some guys in the club that went, you should never leave your boat. We don't want to go, a reckless young designer to be held up in a positive way to be a member here. Well, now the guy that actually nominated me wasn't a famous yachtsman like the other guys that were supporting him. And he was totally devastated about the situation. And I kind of went, too bad's a shame, but I've been accused of worse things. So the guy that nominated me did another round of all these famous yachtsmen for support, and they were totally happy to support. The biggest support was the guy was on the crew. He did what the captain told him to do. He didn't decide. He was told by the captain, get in the helicopter. I think that was the biggest argument. Anyway, the blackball thing disappeared. Like, I've been a member for a lot of years now. But I couldn't resist telling you guys the story. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah, we're not recording this or anything, Ron, just it might end up on the internet. Okay, will.
Anyway, we're thanks for the chance, Bob, to tell sea stories and get my drumsticks back.
I don't think you've got them back yet.
I'm coming down to the shack to get them.
I have a question about this economics of large yacht design. Now, obviously, you're going to get fewer commissions for really large yachts than more commissions for smaller yachts. And obviously, that worked out financially for you. What kind of ratios are we looking at here?
You're talking about design fees.
Question's a little
Ratio
unclear.
of what? What against what?
Well, you get more commissions for smaller yachts or fewer commissions
Oh,
for
I
larger
got it.
yachts.
Oh no, and another very lucrative part of yacht design, as Bob Perry knows, is production boats. So they can be small. But hey, the richest yacht designer in the world, Bruce Kirby. Smallest boat, but build hundreds of thousands of them. So production boats is a very important commercial aspect of yacht design. Some companies build over 100 boats a year. Well, hey, you only need $100 and you've got a decent income. So, but what the reality for my business was that these big boats, the chances to do the big boats got more prolific, and I took my attention off the race boats, which were the starting point of production design. Most of the successful race boats were put into production by Swan or French builders. And I consciously took my attention off that area because these big boats were fascinating. So, like I say, the richest yacht designer in the world, Bruce Kirby, the laser designer.
Sadly, no longer with us.
Dick just got his book today.
I got it a couple days ago.
Hey, Bruce, you're on TV.
He's also in heaven as of about a month ago.
Yeah, so I hope that my story was that I wasn't even particularly planning. I just kind of went with the flow, and we ended up with these big boats. I mean, there's lots of other designers just did medium-sized boats and did lots of them. Hey, that could be a pretty good way to make a living.
Are you following at all Bruce Schwab's restoration of Improbable?
Yes, no, I'm in touch with his son, and yeah, we love that. To me, it's obviously a very important boat in my Gary Mel connection.
I'm helping a little bit with that project in a small way, and I know that that Bruce, when he gets it put together, would love to bring some of the old crew like you and Skip out for a sail on it out of Anacortes.
It would be there like a shot.
Nice. He's taking thousands of pounds out of the boat.
I'm worried about that. Where's he taking the weight out? Where the hell is he getting the weight out? And then because she's narrow, you need to put more stability back in. So you're gonna have to put more weight in the keel.
Yeah, she's getting a carbon rig.
That helps. That definitely helps.
I think his dad had also built in an awful lot of structure that maybe wasn't part of the original design, and a lot of that's been taken back out.
Okay. Yeah, so that was a fun and fortuitous project for me. It was actually after Spirit and Tahiti, Improbable was the next project. And that came because Calder Tompkins trusted me to join his famous fast at winning crew. So the Improbable boat story, which I do write about in my book, is a really important part of my story.
Well, I really enjoyed the story about your run-in with the Cuban Navy.
That
We're
was the
lucky you
scary,
made it out.
that was the scariest thing I've ever done, I must admit. And I was, what was I gonna, I had to call Dave Allen. I was thinking, I'm gonna have to call Dave and say, Fidel's got your yacht. Thank God. You know, the only reason Fidel didn't get the boat was that it wasn't actually the Navy, it was the Army. And I'm going to tell you the story. So in Jamaica, at the end of Jamaica race, which we won, I'm
Set
in
a
charge,
record.
yeah, I'm in charge of getting the boat back to Florida for the circuit. And lots of people in Jamaica told me stay away from the South Cuban coast. I was warned lots of times. And I remember thinking, come on, a 40-foot red boat. So we're sailing along the south coast, and I'm going in closer for a look. And my new wife, I got married in Scotland before we came back. After the race, we did Admiral's Cup fast, then came back around. So I'm hearing my wife with binoculars describing this scene on the beach. Oh, this must be an army camp. They're all on parade. They're all staying to attention and doing the parade stuff. Now they're all running down to the beach. Now they're all running down the dock to a fishing boat. And I'm going, oh, God. The fishing boat is coming straight at us, like at 20 knots. This is not a real fishing boat. So I guess we're a mile off the beach. And I turn 90 degrees and head away from the south coast of Cuba. Turn the engine on, motor sail. Hey, we're doing 10 or 12 knots. These guys are coming at us at like 18. And then, they're waving to us. Oh, well, that is a misinterpretation by my crew. They are waving automatic weapons. So their wave isn't like this. Hi, guys. It's like bullets like Che Guevara, and I'm looking at going, this is a bloody accident waiting to happen. So I said to the crew, there's 5 of us on the boat, go and lie on the cabin hole. Because anyway, this boat is not going to prevent bullets going right through it. So I figured the engine was in the middle of the saloon, unimprobable. So we all kind of lay down on the floor around the engine. That was my best shot at trying to keep the crew alive. And then, so the fishing boat comes alongside, like crash, bang. Oh, God. We're down below. We just let the boat go round up and go into the wind. But there's like 10 or so Cuban army guys with their hobnail boots and automatic weapons, and they all jump on the boat. I was bloody scared. The first thing I was scared for was our lives by these bullets. The most dramatic thing. So when the boat's about 100 yards away, I put my head out of the hatch and see this boat coming. Well, between Improbable and the fishing boat, white water with multiple gunfire. I'm going, this is a disaster waiting to happen. The bullets ricochet off the water in all directions. And these soldiers come aboard. The oldest is 19. They're teenagers. And with one commander guy who's probably 25. And then they want to tow us. We can't speak Spanish. They want to tow us in to the harbor. Well, I'm going, God, how can I avoid this? We were so lucky. They towed us onto a sandbar, and they didn't get how deep we were. You know, we looked like them. So they panicked when they saw the tow line break and us stuck. And that was lucky because they kind of gave up on trying to get us into the dock. And then the commandant guy, the 25-year-old, demanded the fish boat comes alongside again, crash, bang. And he gets off, leaves 6 soldiers with us, and he's going into the port. And we're sitting there with the 6 soldiers going, now what? And we got the commander's going to ask what to do. And then a couple of hours later, here comes the boat again. Another crash, bang. He didn't even get off onto a roll. He just said to his soldiers, come on, come with us. So there was no explanation or discussion. It was like he says to these kids, we're going, get back. They get on the boat, the little boat goes away. I'm going, oh, what do we do? We're going to, so we start the engine and tip the boat over and get off the sandbar and head straight south again. Oh, now, on the same day, the French sailor Eric Tarbally in his Penduic is on the north coast of Cuba, coming up towards Florida for the circuit. And he was not so lucky. He was a week in jail. So, you know, it was a kind of, maybe that helped out us get off because they had the other guy to worry about. Anyway, that's my improbable story. Sorry to keep you from your lunches.
It's the best lunch ever.
Agreed.
I'm curious, you mentioned a number of clients, obviously Nolan Bushnell and Jim Kilroy and others, obviously successful and probably strong-minded clients. Do you have challenging client stories? And if you have somebody that really wants to get a nutsy boltsy, how do you handle that?
One. Hey, not bad for a 50-year career. Only one boat I never sailed on. Yeah, difficult client. God, you get the story that's not in the book. Here I go again. Not as controversial as blackballed by the, but similar. So I get a design commission for a 130-foot kitch building by Lursen in Germany. So it's a serious project. It's for an English guy, Alan Bristow he's a helicopter fleet, Bristow Helicopters, very well known in the North Sea. And Lursen, there's so many stories intertwined on this client. Well, here's a good one. This is a difficult client. The German shipbuilders, they're holding the power, actually. You know, they're building 300-foot motor yachts. They got tons of money. They don't care about this English guy. So the English guy is becoming more difficult with them than even his designer. So Lursen take the boat, unfinished hull, take it out of the building shed and park it on a grass field, quarter of a mile away, and the snow's coming down. Don't fuck with me, Mr. Bristow. Your boat's staying in the field in the snow until we sort this out. Okay, he sorted it out, finished the boat. My issue, I can't even remember what the real issue. He's just a very difficult guy. And it's pretty extreme for me not to sail on one of my boats. But 10 years later, Mr. Bristow calls me up and he says, we were going to do a refit and I need the drawing of the docking plan or something like that. And I said, oh, we'll send you the docking plan. No problem. It was in the Caribbean somewhere. So he invites me to go sailing. I went, no, Mr. Bristow, I don't want to go sailing on the boat. This is pretty extreme for me. I would be pretty keen to go sailing on all my boats. With this guy, no, I don't want to go sailing. So, so many stories. Because he was a kind of gruff bulldog type of guy, I would describe him. And he had to be controversial in every decision on the boat. I designed a very attractive superstructure. And he said, no, I don't want that. I want to put a box. A square box is what I want. I don't want any of this fancy shaped stuff. Oh, you're the client. But anyway, that's enough of that. I've told you about the only big boat I never sailed on I designed.
It's funny. The reason I ask that is because I used to be fairly involved with a fairly well-known Southern California boat builder. I won't name names. It's not my story to tell. But at one point, there was a conversation where this boat builder said, I'll build you a boat, but not if he's your partner. It's interesting how those dynamics work.
You know, I would say on the opposite, I won't say most of my clients, but I will say most of my clients were very easy to deal with. But I was going to say most of my clients I become friendly with, well, almost most. We've made some really important friendships from guys I've designed boats for. And like you say, Nolan Bushnell types, Kilroy types, Prime Minister of England, Edward Heath. I mean, I would say mostly it was really nice and learning relationships. We get one out of, 50 years, not bad. Actually, it's good stories we can talk to stories about him for hours. So he gave me a lot of material.
JBK could be difficult.
Yeah, so I'll share this with you. We have clients like the guys I mentioned, serious guys, that this is not exactly right, but I can't resist making it a broad statement. They would say, only put through a call from my yacht designer and my mistress. Hey, we were up there with the mistresses. That's good.
That's great. So Ron, you mentioned your book a couple of times, and I do have it here. It's very, very well
Thanks, Joe.
put together. And I've only gotten through the first chapter, but do you want to talk about your book a little bit? I think it's after reading the first chapter about your dinghy sailing as a kid, I think I'm in for a treat for the rest of this book. So take some time and tell us a little more about what made you decide to write a book, and what can we expect from your book.
So I wonder if was it because of an egotistical reason? I don't know. Doesn't feel like me. First of all, I had a guy design it that really did a great job, and it's won an award. So if you're going to do a book, I don't want to do a book like this. I want to do a proper book. So the design of the book is very important. The choice of type, the arrangement of photographs. You can read the book 3 different ways. You can read it by just reading the story, or there's pull-out paragraphs that highlight each aspect of the next thing you're going to read. And then there's captions for the photos. You can actually just read the book by captions and get it. So, but it's a big job. It's a hell of a big job.
I'm pleased with the quality of the physical book. The pages are nice, thick paper. The printing's clear and sharp. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, that was an important part to me. It was like designing the book. And I got a really talented Argentine guy living in Vancouver that helped me with that.
Now, when I meet you and present you with my book, are you going to put a nice drawing there on the front page like Bob does?
Yep, that Dick Ennis has got lots of those. No, and the drawings are in the book too. You know, each chapter is one of my drawings. So no, I'm happy. I'll definitely do that.
There are a lot of good
I'm
comments.
gonna
in this
have
book,
to,
too.
I'm gonna have to get that book myself. And I'd like to read about or hear about your time with Gary Mole, your time with, in fact, I'm surprised Charlie Morgan is not here today.
Yeah, can I tell you the rundown of the story? I don't care if you do, I'm going to tell it anyway.
I remember back in about 1970, maybe it was 69. It was when you first came in with Charlie. He used to put out this newsletter, and he showed a picture of you at a drawing board, and I think it was a Morgan 27, maybe it was a Morgan 30. I could see the layout, and I'm going, I bet you he had something to do with that. But he had another picture, and I could have swore it was Bruce Farr was down there visiting you. Was Bruce down there? I asked Charlie about that, and he said, no, I don't ever remember Bruce visiting us down here.
Bruce
Maybe it was another New Zealand designer.
He was not in the States yet when I was at Morgan.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to go to the States, don't you, if you want to make any money. It's different.
So did you have a hand in the 27 or the Morgan 30?
No, I got there. Oh, the 30 I was involved with, but not the 27. Charlie did that before I got to Morgan.
So that's what Charlie told me. He said he designed the 27 because I'd asked Charlie if you, and he said, no. He said, I designed the 27, but so you did have a hand in the 30.
I do. I was involved with the 30, yeah.
Interesting.
So now I forgot what I was going to tell you.
How about, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have interrupted you. What about with Gary Mole? That must have been quite an office being there. Gary Mole.
This is the story I want to tell you. Yeah. So when I went to work for Mole, I met him through Warwick Tompkins. He said, I can see you've drawn a boat or two. Come and help me. Well, I made the tea and swept the floor. It's about what I did. But we used to go for lunch at the Berkeley campus because Gary was, ex-Berkeley guy. He had his favorite restaurant. And so this is 1969 or 70, 69. But anyway, we were there at lunch when the National Guard brought barbed wire and automatic fire onto the Berkeley campus. So, how about wet behind the ears Kiwi? Because we know about the war in Vietnam, but Jesus, Gary even said, come on, we're going to run out of here. We're going to run. The bloody National Guard with automatic fire and tear gas and huge barbed wire things rolling around the campus. I got a better story about Berkeley. Nothing to do with boats. So I'm living with the Cascaden family over in the Marina area, Divisadero Street. And I read that Jimi Hendrix is in town. And I go, hey, I gotta try and get to see this. So I expressed to Lillian Cascaden after getting back up from the yacht club doing the boat work, I'd love to see Hendrix over at Berkeley Community Center. She said, take the car. I went, oh my God, really? Yeah, take the car. Yeah, little red BMW, pretty unique in the 69 in San Francisco. And, she didn't know, she never seen me drive. I walk down to the boat every day. So she kind enough to let me drive the BMW across the Bay Bridge to Berkeley. I get to the community center, bloody people everywhere. And the scalpers with tickets. And I'm going, I know I'm going to get screwed here. So I hesitated about buying a scalp ticket, but it's getting like 10 to 8 when the concert, 10 minutes before the concert starts. And I'm going, I'm not going to miss Hendrix. I'm going to take a chance. So some guy comes up to me and says, look, my friends didn't show up. I'll give it to you at face value. I took the ticket, pushed my way through the crowd, and I'm going to be in the bloody last row or something. Hey, second row center stage.
Wow.
I mean, I got burnt by Hendrix's lighter fluid when he lit the guitar. Hey, this is a nice story for San Francisco, the 60s, isn't it?
I used
Sorry.
to go to all the concerts from 66 all the way up to about 72. And I missed seeing Jimi Hendrix. I lived up in Seattle, and it was either the Paramount or it was the Eagles or it was the Coliseum. And what finally turned me off
I was a regular at Fillmore West, I'll tell you that.
But it was the smell of patchouli oil and the smell of pot in those concerts was finally what turned me off to going to them because, and for years, I still cannot stand the smell of patchouli oil. Pot's a different thing. I don't mind the pot nowadays so much, but yeah.
Did you ever know Scott Rohr?
Scott lives up here. Yeah, he's a friend of mine. He doesn't sail like he used to. He was a big 6-meter sailor. Well, he sailed a lot of boats.
I've known him for I've known him for 50 years. He's one of my best friends.
Cool.
Talk about the 60s in San Francisco. So I arrive in 69. Haight-Ashbury's in full swing. And I remember thinking, how am I going to tell my parents on the phone update, how's it going in San Francisco, that I'm living with a family that are drug addicts. In New Zealand, I know the difference between pot and heroin. They're all drug addicts to me. I've never seen anyone smoking pot in New Zealand. And the Cascade family would light up after dinner, put Beatles' latest album on, and they would hang out. So I remember being really concerned about how am I going to explain to my parents what's going on in San Francisco. Oh, worked out okay. Worked out okay.
Hey, Ron, Tom Patterson here. You don't know me, but I had lunch with you once. And speaking of Gary Mull,
with Mull?
You and Mull.
Wow.
Yeah, I had, much like Bob Perry, had been drawing boats since I was quite young. And so, in fact, you and I are the same age, but I called up Gary Mull and said, I'd like to show you some of the drawings I've done and see what you think. And he said, well, why don't we have lunch? He said, and if you don't mind, I'll bring my draftsman along. His name is Ron Holland. And I said, well, where are we going to have lunch? And he said, well, we'll go to my favorite place, Top Dog, which was a hot dog place on the north side of the Berkeley campus. And so I met there, and you and Mo, we had lunch together.
And I think that's where we were with the National Guard fired tear gas all around us.
But yeah, Gary liked his hot dogs. I ended up actually getting to know him quite well. I later worked in the marine industry for quite a few years, and I actually knew him quite well.
Oh, lucky for me to get a chance to work with him, and Bob had some special guys too. Carter, the Gardner. I mean, we watch what the hell's going on ahead of us. We look at Gardner, Carter, S&S drawings, and we know what the fuck's going on. Believe me. So I support the kids behind me, 100%.
Who's coming up behind that you're paying attention to?
Well, I can't even give you any names because at the top echelon in the America's Cup stuff, they're all a bunch of professors, and at the other end, the new race boat guys. I'm too old to worry about it.
It's an interesting point. I think you're right, especially if you talk about America's Cup. A lot of the stuff is done through CFD and computer modeling. And is that still yacht design in your head?
Yes, but it's not me because I was not academic enough. We were very early into computer-aided design, for sure. But I was the only one in my organization that actually couldn't do it. I didn't bother learning. I'm a pencil and paper guy. But now the yacht design starters are it's all computer.
Yep.
The Keystone cops are still working on it.
Yep.
So enjoy your weekend. I'll talk to you Monday.
Sure. If they need me,
Shall I keep going? Or what was that?
Just Robert
Failure to mute.
not being on mute. I'll slap him around later.
I hope it's not one of those dirty moves you put on before.
That was Bob. It was definitely Bob.
Oh, well, that's I'm going to tell this story, Bob, all over the world when I talk. First,
And we can blame Bob because I think he's on the phone right now, not paying attention. Good thing that didn't happen to Eva Marie when we had him on last week.
Anyway, thanks for your patience, guys. Sorry about it. Now, Kevin, are you there?
Kevin's on.
Huh?
We got a couple of special guests that kind of came into this meeting if they want to announce themselves.
I don't know. Does Dick
Ron,
Anderson
I'm
count as
here.
special?
I'm here, Ron.
Oh, good. Great. Good. I want to see your girlfriend. I want to see your black screen. I want to see a proper person.
I'm trying to work that one out. Hold on.
Oh, Kevin Dibley. Oh, yeah, he's up and coming. He's right up there.
Anyway, appreciate the chance to tell a few stories. And I'm conscious that I don't follow a charted route. But the main thing is I hope it's not boring.
Hardly. You were,
Well,
Are you participating at all in the conversion of Juliet to hybrid?
we got you, Richard.
I think he's on mute. Ron's on mute.
Is Ron on mute?
Yes.
Ron, you're on mute. I might have did that when I was trying to mute somebody else. You're good now.
Yeah. No, I mean, I keep in touch with Bruce Cates, the original owner, but I haven't met the new owner.
Oh, so you're not part of the hybrid conversion?
No.
Okay. I'm fascinated by electric powered sailboats. Everybody else says I'm a little too far ahead of the curve though, and I should wait a while.
Well, Bill Joy was way ahead of that curve with Ethereal, who was a kind of an evolution of the Juliet design team, if you like. And he would have been the first owner that understood the potential of hybrid type solutions. I think it's still, I'm surprised how long it's taken the yachting industry to embrace alternative solutions. We are also bloody conservative. Sorry if I offended everyone.
No, I asked the question and everybody has a similar or different answer, so it's okay.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. I
It's
don't
gonna
think
happen.
that, I don't think all sailors are tree huggers. And they're all moneyed. A lot of sailors are moneyed. They haven't
Well,
got.
it's not even the tree hugging aspect of it. It's just the efficiency of running a hybrid, a generator through a battery and a battery to drive your boat, and that the drive systems are so much more efficient if you can get over the energy storage part of it.
I made I would say, controversial comment when we did the sailing trials on Ethereal, 150 foot, no, 180 foot yacht. Oh my God. So we untied the boat, left the dock, go out of the harbor, motor for half an hour, get the sails up, go sailing for 3 hours, and motor back in, all on batteries. I didn't turn the diesel on. Now, this hybrid system, because we were pioneering, cost a bloody fortune. Serious money. Now, because the boat's insulation was so good, you couldn't tell if the diesel was on or not. You could not hear the engine or the generator. So we kind of go, there was a lot of money to spend for why? The main focus was get rid of the noise. Well, we beat that by miles. You couldn't hear anywhere in the boat. You didn't know if the engine was on. And there was, millions of dollars, I would say, spent on the hybrid system. So just a comment. Now it's different. That was 12, 15 years ago.
Yeah, 2010, 2008.
For over 165 years.
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm no good at those numbers.
Still one of the most beautiful boats you've ever done.
Make the most sense to keep you and your financial future most safe.
Who's that on the screen?
Just online.
That's a familiar
Stop by one
face.
of our branches and ask us how. Bank 5.
Turn off your TV.
Together. Member FDIC, member DIA,
Steve.
equal housing lender.
Yeah.
More kids see you and hear you.
My kids.
Okay. Well, that's good, I guess.
We're not taking any chances.
And
Hey, Ron.
Tested. Wear a mask. Watch
Oh,
your
yeah.
distance. Visit
Yeah, Kevin Gibley here. How are you?
prevention.
Yeah, good, thank you. Now, why are you lit funny? Oh, no, it's
I
Eve.
don't know.
Eve,
There he is.
I can't see you.
There he is.
I can see your back of your head lit behind
Oh,
you.
well, yeah, that's right. I
Turn around for
I am a
God's
little
sake.
low there.
Yeah, you got to tell me
Is
some.
Is that any better?
I want you to tell me is Bob's Dick Carter story is true or false?
Which one?
She suffered from Trump derangement syndrome.
I actually had last year, a really nice conversation with Dick, and it was about the book. I think he called me to ask a question about the book because he and his daughter were doing a book.
Will win in the end. Well,
So
in this
I
book,
was
she
on the
plays like
phone
she's
for
so
like half an hour with him. He was in the house in England.
Okay.
We're lucky to hang out with these old guys.
minorities are going to be the ones that fix this country.
Well, we are getting old enough, that's for sure.
This will be like,
Mute the television.
yes, and there is a way to fix
Oh,
it.
sorry.
Minority ones
Mute.
that can actually
Unmute.
There we go.
All right, you go. Okay.
You were not young like Dibley. I'll tell you how I missed Bob. I missed Gardner by 2 days. So I invited over to the island. Sydney, is it? Where's the island? It was off a little village.
Off of Sydney, BC.
Yeah. So I was invited there by a guy building steel boats. And we're at a restaurant in the marina there at the boatyard, where you put your boat out, Dick. And the guy that I'm with says, see that island? That's where Bill Gardner lives. I went, Jesus, I'm getting off the table right now. I want to meet him. Died yesterday. Missed him. And I would say I grew up with his sketches. As a kid, I was totally fascinated with his sketches of a guy with a pipe painting the bottom of the boat. You know what I mean? So, and he did some bloody interesting stuff. He did some quite advanced narrow light displacement motor sailor type boats that I think were pretty unique.
Yes, they were. Bob can probably go on a bit about him. You're talking Bill Gardner. Bill Gardner is the one that lived up there. And he passed
When I
away.
was in high school, I crewed on Oceanus. And it was a 60-foot long boat. But I can tell you how fast it was. It was as fast as an old 8-meter. Because we would race, and there was an 8-meter in Seattle at the time. And boat for boat, Oceanus was about the same speed as this 8-meter around the race course. It had it was 60 feet long, had a 42-foot water line, and had a shape like a pregnant guppy with this big fat belly forward, and then this long hollowed out run aft. It was a bizarre shape. It was a gorgeous shape, but I don't think it worked. I mean, it's probably the most beautiful stern ever designed. But in terms of contributing to boat speed, it did nothing. But I mean, I spent countless hours studying his designs, countless hours. And he was patient with me. He gave me his time.
Hey, Bob, we all grew with his garden in our mind. The diversity of his work and the depth of it was really amazing over a long career. And if there was a designer of the past that I would cherish, is really William Gardner.
Yeah, I think in terms of aesthetics, and I don't say this lightly, but I think in terms of aesthetics, he was a genius. He could take the most disparate combination of lines and make them look all natural. And, you know, from his power boats to his funky little sailboats, you know, the builders hated his plans. You know, they called them the funny papers, you know, but he could make every shape work. That's for sure. And he was a nice guy.
Sorry, I missed him.
Well, I did give him your regards when I met him the first time,
Good.
and he was quite glad to have them. Thank you.
Huh. Well, the one quote I remember he made to Scott Rohr was if I can remember it verbatim, it was, of all the nose pickers to walk through my door, he's the last one I thought would make it. I never told that to anybody before.
Good thing this isn't being recorded.
Yeah, I'm sure.
The guy who said, wait a minute, the narrative about the Penn State scandal is all wrong. I believe he has proved it.
That TV is just going to go and go and go.
Yeah, we want to turn that off or mute.
You need to know.
That was Eve.
All right.
Eve Marie.
Thanks,
We had to-
Ron.
We had to mute Eve Marie. I feel horrible about it.
Oh, hey, think of
Lucky
the
to be
story.
here. Yeah,
Think
lucky
of
to
the
see
story we have
Bob.
to tell now.
So-
We got important designers on these tiles here.
We get that story
Bob,
out.
Jerry, Kevin.
We get that story out. Think of how many people will show up for the next one.
This is a really good one.
You missed the
Sorry, that
fun
a little
part.
rocky.
Well, you're scheduled pretty soon, Kevin.
Yeah, after
Ron's
Ron's got the gift of the gab.
I want you to
I'm
meet.
gonna have
I want
to,
you to meet
look
my
at it.
one. I want you to meet my chief designer, designing all the drawings for the schooner we're doing. Is Laura,
Oh, wow, cool.
Hi.
That's
and coming.
fantastic.
and Laura's from New Zealand, and she did a thing at UBC. That's how I met her.
Yeah, I did my
Great.
best.
What part of New Zealand are you from?
I'm from Auckland, but I went to university in Christchurch.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you miss it?
Yeah, yeah.
So Kevin's in Queenstown.
Oh, cool. Yeah. My parents have a batch in Golden Bay.
Oh, nice.
Super far, but I
Beautiful
used to go
spot.
skiing. Yeah, Golden Bay is really nice. I used to go skiing in Queenstown at
Yeah.
Coronet all the time.
This year with COVID, it's being closed for, I think I got 2 ski days in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Ron, do you remember driving through the South Island on that Mini?
No, we did the whole trip easy.
Yeah,
And I'll be coming back to stay with you again next time too.
look forward to it.
I hope I'm going to be in Auckland at the end of February.
What's the occasion?
You know, I just told Dave I want to sign on to crew for you in the Sounds because I want to go and meet Laura's grandfather who lives in Golden Bay.
Nice. Nice. That's a beautiful part of the country.
Yeah. Yeah. My mom's from
Yeah.
there. So, yeah.
Oh, that's really good.
So we'll see you.
Yeah, we'll have the suite ready for you, Ron.
Great.
Good on you.
Is Bob gone?
He's probably in the men's room.
Again.
We have to wait for him because we can't just sign off, can we? There he is. Oh, he's back.
There he is. He's back.
We didn't want to leave without saying goodbye, Bob.
Well, thanks a lot, Ron. It was a real pleasure and a lot of fun, and it was exactly what I hoped for.
You know, and keep those drumsticks safe for me, will you?
I'm gonna use them tonight to start a fire. Come on down to the shack soon, Ron. Okay.
Yeah, I'm bringing Laura when I come too, because she can play guitar too.
All right. We'll have
So you'll be right at home with her.
We'll jam.
Don't lose my sticks.
We'll do
You
some
want to go down there,
Brandy
Laura.
Carlisle.
Okay. You can make the choice.
All right.
Nice to see you, old pencil pushers.
Same, Dick. Good to see you. Great to see you.
Thanks for the opportunity, Bob. See you soon.
All right. See you.
And-
Thanks a lot, Rob.
Have a great afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Cheers. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
That was good, Joe.
Yeah, we recovered there, Bob.
Yeah.
I saw you were on the phone and I'm like, all right, well, I had a list of questions. So I was like,
I was trying to get a hold of my doctor. 18-minute wait.
wow.
But, I think there was plenty of questions, and it was nice to hear those stories.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That was
I
a lot
really
of fun.
enjoyed that one.
I think we've got the real Ron there.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe, a lot for doing that.
Well, thanks for allowing me to do it. This is a treat always, and we'll get the recording up. It's gonna be cut off, and we'll jump into.
So here's let me tell you what happened in the middle of that whole deal. I had a repairman come out because my propane boiler that heats the water that heats our floors was working wonky, not working properly. So I had the repairman come out. He came out and he said, well, it's not even igniting right now. He said, you sure you got propane? I said, sure, I got propane. I went to the stove, turned it on. We were out of propane. I've been getting regular propane deliveries from these people for 10 years. And today they ran out. So other repairmen's here trying to figure out what's wrong with the boiler. The propane delivery guy shows up. I kid you not. And then he leaves, he fills it up. He leaves, the repairman leaves, and then another propane truck shows up. I mean, I was frustrated. It was frustrating.
I bet.
Yeah,
I bet.
I'm not supposed to run out.
Yep. So Bob, what we're gonna do going forward is we're not gonna post this on Sailing Anarchy or any other open forums. Well, at least not with the passcode. And if we're gonna post it on open forums, we just need to not tell them they need to join out your group or something.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll leave that totally up to you.
Yeah. And I'll probably, it was a giant cluster because I shut the waiting room down and then we opened up screen sharing. The thing is, you can only open up screen sharing for the host or everyone. And they don't say like, I can click on a name and say, open up screen sharing for Bob or open up screen sharing for Ron. So that kind of put us in a tough spot there. And then, I was, after we got it up the second time, we had people jumping in and out, and I was just like, I'm like, if you guys don't have an actual name in your Zoom, name, it doesn't make any sense to me. I just stopped letting people in. So
yeah, well, I don't think anybody blames you, Joe.
So
Yeah.
that's what happened today. That's why I wasn't able to get in. I kept coming in and out, and it wasn't opening.
Yeah, and Richard, I apologize greatly. I ended up searching for you on the on the page, and I found you and I let you in. So I was just trying to search names, make sure they were real people that we want on, and so it was a little bit tough, and I probably upset a couple of people, but I'd rather have that than what we had.
I try to maintain a bit of be anonymous. I use Boomer Dep quite often. So
Okay.
if you see me coming, I come in.
And you could always, anybody that's on this call, if you're sitting in the waiting room, just PM me. I got 4 monitors up over here, and I have everything up. So you can PM me on Facebook, and I'll make sure.
All right.
Wake
I'm
up.
gonna go have a pipe.
Yeah, I had one already,
See you,
but I didn't
Dick.
calm my nerves. So you guys have a great afternoon, and I'm gonna work.
No
I gotta
doubt.
do some editing. I'm gonna try to get this up tonight because this was really, really, really good. And I'll see if we get up tonight. If not, it'll be up tomorrow.
All right.
Great.
Have a
Thanks,
good
Joe.
one, guys.